This right here is just kind of showing you, there's a white blood cell, there's a red blood cell. A red blood cell, it says it's about 7 microns across, or micrometers, about 2.0 micrometers as far as the thickness. The reason, why does it look like a donut? Does everybody know? Does everybody know why the blood cell, the human mature red blood cell looks like a donut? Who thinks you know? Shasta, do you think you know? No? 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 Why does it look like a donut? Has anybody got a clue? Anybody got a clue? Wait, what? I'm sorry. No?
Because it's a carrier, right?
No? Each one of those blood cells, each one of these red blood cells has about 280 million molecules of hemoglobin. Think about that. Each one has about 280 million molecules of hemoglobin. But, now that's not the reason that it's a donut-looking thing. The reason it's a donut-looking thing, y'all, come on, y'all, think about it. It doesn't have a nucleus. Red blood cell, mature human red blood cells do not have a nucleus. And we'll talk about when the nucleus is lost in the formation of the blood cell. But they do not have a nucleus. That's why your blood cells circulate in your body for about 120 days and they die. In other words, they have no enzyme systems. They can't make any ATP. They don't have a nucleus. They can't divide. So they just kind of move, they just kind of go through your system for about 3 months, 120 days, then they are destroyed. And they're destroyed primarily by Kupffer cells in the liver sinusoids. Now, abnormal red blood cells are destroyed by the spleen a lot. The spleen will play a role in destruction of those. But generally, our blood cells are destroyed, Nikki, by the Kupffer cells in the liver sinusoids after about 3 months of circulation. Okay, so this is why they look, and that just kind of showed them the name of those red blood cells, white blood cells. But there's the white blood cells, and of course we'll see all this a little bit later on. Okay, fluid compartments. I do want to mention this to you. I do want to mention this particular thing to you right here. Fluid compartments. Okay, extracellular fluid. Now, really, this is kind of hard for me to realize too, but most of the fluid, 62 point something % of the fluid in our bodies is contained within cells. And we don't think, I'll mention this to you. One time when I was a little kid, one of my dad's buddies, when these two couples, my dad and my mom and this man and they would do things together. You know, they'd go out to dance places and they'd visit each other's homes and do stuff together. This other man was an undertaker. He owned a furniture business and he was an embalmer. And one time, and it just made an impression. I was just a kid. I was a small kid. This made very much of an impression on me. Mr. Kozart was his name, Davis Kozart, C-O-Z-A-R-T. He called my dad and he said, "Hey, listen, go downtown with me." He said, "There's been some kind of altercation down there, and I think there's a lot of blood. Somebody got hurt really, really bad, and I might need you to help me put somebody in the ambulance." So my dad said, "Yeah, I'll go down." And of course, I whined, "Hey, can I go?" And if he'd known what was going to be down there, he wouldn't let me go. But anyway, I tell you, and he said, "Yeah, okay, come on, get in." So I got in the car, and here we went. All right, down there, these two guys had gotten a knife fight. And one of them had cut the other one with a knife from here to here. And I had never, as a little kid, I had never since. The other one, and this guy, before he was cut there, he had come around at the other one and cut him with a knife right across here, and his guts were just out. Everything was out. But the other fella was laying on the sidewalk. There was blood everywhere, and they put him in the back of the ambulance, and there was blood just totally. I had never seen so much stuff, and I couldn't have been more than 6 years old. But that made an impression on me. It made an impression, a big impression. Even at that age, it made an impression. And they got in, and so one guy was DOS. He was dead on the spot. He just, all this stuff we've been talking about right here. That knife had cut right up in here to the jugular vein. There's a carotid artery. All that stuff had been cut. And he just bled out. The other one, they carried him. He was still barely alive. They kind of put his intestines and everything back in, loaded him in the ambulance, and the nearest hospital of any size is over in the Bryan College Station area. So they drove him over to Bryan, Texas, and he died. But see, where I'm going with this story is that I wondered, as I got grown and got a little smart and started teaching this stuff, got a little smarter than I was at 6 years old. Then I said, well now, you know, I've never seen so much blood, so much fluid in all my life. Well, most of the fluid in our bodies is not in the blood. It's not the blood in the blood vessels. Most of the fluid in our bodies is intracellular. All that blood I saw and all that stuff is part of the extracellular fluid. Extracellular fluid refers to all fluids not contained within cells. And so that extracellular fluid, it only makes up 37.5% of the body water. And so that would be plasma. Of course, in the plasma, it's going to be the red blood cells. So I was seeing all this blood. That's what I was seeing, all the blood. And so plasma only makes up 7% of the body water. So all that stuff I was seeing didn't really make up. Of course, the guy bled out. You know, he bled. You cut all this, everybody. This gets cut. The cardiac output. What is the cardiac output? The cardiac, we were talking about, you were mentioning a while ago, an abdominal aneurysm. And if an aneurysm bursts, then the cardiac output goes to 0. You're dead. And the cardiac output means the stroke volume times beats per minute. That's cardiac output. And the cardiac output, stroke volume times beats per minute. Well, if something's bleeding out, your heart, there's no stroke volume. There's no volume. You're bleeding out. It doesn't happen. And the cardiac output goes to 0 and you're dead.